Hello guys and welcome to my new video. Today I want to talk with you about Hailey and why she is so strong right now in the meta. Currently many people are aiming together and she's an absolute beast when it comes to Colossus fights. Let's begin with the basics. Hailey has multiple builds you can play around, and the two biggest ones are the skill damage one and the tech firearm one. I'm gonna show you first the skill power one because I personally think that this one is a better version for the beginning bosses until Gluttony, but after Gluttony the other one takes upper hand. It's just way stronger against bosses who have a crit resistance, like Gluttony as I said. So basically in this build you have Slayer set. Slayer set has two main points why you wanna use it, and not only the skill power. Skill power is like the second. The first why you wanna have it is rounds per magazine. So basically, Hailey's ultimate has 100% of her shots are like 4 shots, right? So 4 shots, each shot has 25%. To get another shot you need at least to hit 25% magazine size. If we look at the piercing light right now we got expand weapon charge, which gives you 49%. And we got maximum weight balance, which gives you 30%. So we are at 79%. This means it gives you 3 shots, so you're exactly on 7. But you still have like 4% more than you need actually. So if you remember correctly, Slayer has 9%, so you come on 88% actually. And there's one roll on your weapon you can get. It's exactly 12% on rounds per magazine. And with this stat, you can actually reach 8 shots with your ultimate. And this is like the highest you can get. You can get even higher. There's one module which actually increases your magazine size by 39%, which will be magazine compulsive. But still, you have like 9% instead of 25, so it wouldn't matter at all. You will just lose weak point damage. That's why it's not worth it. So you wanna stay like maximum weight, or like actually you can even play, by example, concentration support ammo. It doesn't matter which you play. It's a slight damage different. Of course, I think firearm crit damage would be even better right now, but it's such a low damage number in the difference that it doesn't matter for me to actually switch it out, since the skill power is the main damage source anyways, and not the attack firearm. This piercing light is literally a build only for this Hailey. I got another piercing light, as you can see over here, which is not completely maxed out, but it's still like 2 yellows, 2 purple. It's fine, it's fine. So we got a Slayer set, which gives us rounds per magazine and skill power on top, and we got a reactor, which gives us additional damage against Colossus and skill crit damage. So basically, Colossus damage and crit damage are both kind of around 300k on top. You get it gets more as more damage you do. So if you have like around 10 million, you do like 300k more with crit and Colossus, and if you have like 11 million, do like 320k more. It stacks up. So basically, if you do low damage, you will have low damage added. But skill crit and additional skill attack will be the best in slot for Hailey's ultimate at least, and the C, like the second ability, because it gives you the highest damage output. Especially because they have such high damage numbers, so they will benefit the most of it. If we go to the modules, what I play on Hailey is we're gonna play 3 skill crit mods, not 4, because the investment into the 4th would give you like way too much investment. Like only the 114% in blue would get you to 96% skill crit rate. So you would use it for 8%, but you would lose around like 100, like 80%, 82%. Like, what am I even saying? 84, 86 even. So it's not worth for me to investing in like, I don't know, around, I think it's 10%, 15% skill crit rate, instead like having another mod which gives you more damage output. So right now we're at 86.5%, so we're missing around 14%, 13.5, but that's exactly fine because we skill crit most of the time. So crit, crit, and crit damage. I have those because both of them give damage, like crit damage, which is the main point. Then I got maximized conservation. You can go for normal for the blue one, But I think for longer fights it's easier to have this one on, especially if you grapple on shoulders. So as you can see in the molten clip I will show, I'm grappling on the shoulder in the beginning, and if I would have the blue one, I would run out of like MP way faster than normally. So it's not really that great to have it. That's why also the modifier of those are so high that it doesn't matter. Like the ult has a modifier of 3.6k, you would lose like barely anything, and the second ability has also like a modifier of 8.9k. So it doesn't really change stuff. On the Q, the Q doesn't need to do damage. It's only for the cryo effect. The cryo effect is way bigger than people might even imagine, but I will come to that later on. For now, I gotta continue. Glacial is there for damage. It's a 4th damage mod you can have, so there's a maximum of 5 damage mods you can have, if we not excluding crit. You can have a battle, you can have an attack, you can have a defense, an arc tech, and a fortitude. Those 5 are the only attack or like damage, pure damage mods you can have in your build. There's nothing else that will give you damage. Except crit, but yeah. So, Dangerous Ambush. Why Dangerous Ambush? It gives you the biggest amount of skill power straight on your ult, or on your second ability, and because you always knock the enemy, at least in solo play. In multiplayer it's a bit different, but if you knock it by the shoulder, you still have the full value. As you can see in Molten Fortress fight. So you get like 24, 25 to 40 out of like 50% power, which is insane. Like it's a huge damage difference. Like I would say 5 to 6 million, maybe even more. So we got Shield Specialist. We don't need cooldown on this build. The cooldown is absolutely fine because you have a perfectly timed for like a rotation. And if you're not using your ultimate or your second ability because the boss is targeting you, this cooldown will get to waste, because you can't use it anyways if the boss is targeting you, especially like Gluttony, by example. So having like low cooldown on high cooldown on this one doesn't really matter. Like 30 seconds is fine, and having the third ability up makes your firearm do a massive amount of damage, so it doesn't matter. Like you can just group with your firearm anyways. The rest. Spear and Shield is better than the other one on the defense slot, because the skill power modifier is way too high on those abilities. That's why you wanna have Spear and Shield and not Iron Defense. The def would be the same, but it only matters on the skill power. So Spear and Shield is better than Iron Defense. The last mod, I could get crit rate in, but to be honest, some bosses like Molten Fortress, if you get hit by a rocket or a Swamp Walker even, you get a ton of HP. Like you really, like, they hurt a lot. So increased HP gives you with the Slayer set around 7.8k HP. I would say I don't even have that good of a sensor, like a auxiliary rate power right now. It's like, I think 50 off of maximum. So it could be even better. I only have like one module and like 8k, and the defense of Hailey is pretty high also. So 11k is completely fine for all the content. You don't need more def. That's not worth for the build you're planning on doing. So this is the skill power build I'm using, and it works perfectly fine for all bosses. But as I said, for Gluttony I'm using something else. So now I want to show you the Gluttony build I'm using. And this will be this one. For Gluttony I'm using actually a useless reactor. Because there's only 2 things you need on your reactor. And that's skill cooldown and skill cost. Because, let me show you first the build, I think that's easier for you to understand why. On the build, you can apply Conditional Recharge and Walker Tightrope. Walker Tightrope is really good with Annihilation set, because both scale with your missing HP, so you get more damage. And since you're like on a Firearm attack build, both boost your Firearm attack by a lot, like 50%. You get like 26% from here, and you get like 30% from Walker Tightrope. The skill power modifier doesn't really matter that much. On this build, the difference is you have no crit at all. Like, you don't want your abilities to be critting. You have MP conversion, Nimble Fingers. Why does cooldown matter now so much? As I said already before, cooldown does not matter. On this build, now we're gonna go back to cryo. This cryo effect is a bit interesting. If you do damage to an enemy, let's say with a sniper. We have an enemy over here. we do 500k right now. So 500k is the right number. So if we now use your Q, like the first ability, and we hit him again, we have a bonus of 265k damage. So it takes half of the damage dealt and gives it a chill damage again to the enemy. And it's like 9 stacks. So if we Q again and we hit him with our attack, you can see we did like 35k and 11k fire. This fire damage on top scales as well. So if you have 35k on your weapon damage and 11k on your fire damage, you have a base of like 44, and from this base it takes 50%, so like 22k. Now if we use your third ability to able to actually get our crit rate up on our weapon, you can see we go up to I think 90% or 80 something. Yeah, 92%. If we crit now, you can see the damage numbers are really high. And you can see the ice numbers are like 240k, 200k, 200k, 230k. And that's repeating like 9 times. So that's why we want to have the cooldown down, so we can spam it. Like we literally want to spam the Q as much as possible. And then our damage goes really high. That's like this rapid firing build right now. You want to play a sharp precision shot on your entire legacy, expand weapon charge, full crit, ignore weak point. Weak point does on paper more damage. Even against boss weak spots it does more damage. But I had more value from this build. Like overall, all the bosses I tried, this one was always better. So I would recommend this build over this. Actually, I'm sorry, I saw it. I cannot show you like this. Okay, so this is my weak point Hailey build, where I have aiming instead of fire damage in. Because I thought, okay, fire damage maybe bad, but it's actually way better. Fire enhancement is literally you have to play it, and inside focus. This is the only mod you could change to weak point damage if you really want to. Example, by Mode Fortress, he has the biggest weak point in the game. If you play against him, you could change, but it would not make a huge difference. So you would have to ask yourself if it's worth for you to investing in another catalyst, or if you just want to stay like this. And as I said, this build works perfectly fine, even on Gluttony. I put a clip in so you can see how Gluttony works. I did it on a free public lobby. Completely. I didn't have any communication with them, and it worked perfectly fine. They knew how to grapple the enemy, like the Gluttony weak points. We had a Sharon who actually got the weak point shoulder really fast down, and it was insane. I really liked that lobby. So what else do we need? As I said, reactor, skill cooldown, skill cost, annihilation set. Try to get as much defense and MP recovery on that. This one is really terrible for me. Fire resistance you don't want to have on her. You want to have MP recovery. But currently, this one is just terrible base HP. So just switching those would give me like around... Like right now we have 9.3k kinda. If I put it in, I only have like 8.5, so I miss like 600 HP. I don't think this is worth like this low MP recovery. So MP recovery in combat on this one, as well as max MP. Max MP is always higher stat than MP recovery, you need that. Like this one is already maxed. Like max MP you cannot get higher than 159. And on your annihilation memory you want to have death and MP recovery. And on your annihilation processor you want to have shield and shield recovery. You could switch shield recovery into something else, but again, on this one I would say only max shield matters really. The rest you can just choose on your own. But I would say shield recovery or toxin resistance are the only good stats on that. But yeah, to the build again, I got increased HP one time to not fall too low. It doesn't matter if you have multiple HP mods in, you don't really need them. If you put another HP mod in right now, you would get to 2k if you're like on 1 HP. It doesn't benefit you. So I'm gonna show you so you actually understand why it's not worth investing in more HP. So right now we have 1.3k HP, we cannot get lower if we use abilities, except we get damage. And we have a shield of 802, so 802 at 12 and 1.353. That's our HP and shield. So now, if we get rid of strong mentality nimble fingers because they don't change our HP sets, and put another HP plus in. So by example, just for clarifying stim accelerant, we got like now 16k HP. So our base goes, we have to check again, since we refresh.
It's up to me.
2k. So we got a benefit of 700 or like 650 HP. So right now we are at wave 12 and 212. Okay? But if now, instead of stim accelerant for HP, we go for shield, or max shield, we get a value of 1.2k. So because now we are on 2.045, so 2.045, and still 1.3k HP. It doesn't, you ignore the stat because right now it doesn't change. Yeah, now it even gets lower because we had 10% spare, but normally like you have 1.3k. So we get a base value of 500 more HP because death also scales in shields. That's why on Hailey's shield right now would be better in this build instead of going for HP. It gives you more of the stat you wanna have. But still, this is something you would need to share, like look at yourself if you really want it. Wait, cost, this one was it. But strong mentality is also something you could change. You don't need strong mentality completely, because with maximized conversation and eventually the reactor, you have a lot of MP reduction. So you could go for a spare max shield, you could go for something like damage reduction. I don't really remember how was it called. It was purple, I know that one. Not medical. Was it medical? Yeah, no. Guard was, yeah, guard it is. So basically you could try something like incoming damage modifier, psychological victory. So you would decrease the overall incoming damage. But again, since you are like really low HP, you would need to ask yourself if it's worth to invest in that. And kinda everything of this build matters for the damage output, because if you would get rid of skill cooldown, you would have higher cooldowns on your Q, or like the first ability, which makes you do less damage in that quick time. So the most benefit of this build is when someone is actually hanging on a shoulder, and you have free time to shoot the boss completely down. Because you can spam your first ability without actually getting hit from the boss, so you can die overall. And the ability skill cast if you have not enough health, because it's only reducing your health on skill cast, not like the MP cost doesn't change into your HP like Glaze. So shot focus we're gonna play as well to get our firearm really high up and focus on singular skill cooldown. But I also put focus on shield and singular so my Q does more damage since I spam it. So I have like a little bonus extra damage. Singular, of course, should be dimension, not singular. I'm sorry, that one, but I don't have the slot for dimension right now. I would need to prestige one more time. But yeah, you want to have dimension on this one, not singular. But yeah, the rest is quite easy to understand, I would say. But yeah, you can still play on your abilities, but you should not use your second or ult because you will never crit. Like your crit rate on this build is so low on your ability. You get like around, I think it was 40%, like 45 or something percent crit rate. Yeah, 45% crit rate. And you don't even have crit damage, so you're missing like 3 point something on crit damage. So using your firearm on this build will always give you more damage than using your ult or your second ability in that time. That's why I would not recommend using your ultimate skills or your second skill on this build. But that's kind of everything to Hailey. At least for the abilities. So there's one more thing to tell. Your passive. Your passive does more weak point damage on hit if you stay at least, well, 12.5 meters away. But from this 12.5 meters to 25 meters, it increases up to 50%. If you go below 12.5 meters, you will reduce kinda again. So you wanna stay a bit away from the from the enemy. You can see if you equip any sniper, like piercing light or afterglow. So let's equip afterglow as well. If you have a sniper, you target the enemy, you can see 21 meters. So you can actually kinda, and if the enemy did not spawn, but you know where it spawns, look on the ground. Like it kinda has the same, it has the same angle. So you can see, I look on the ground underneath him, I can see 26 meters, 28 meters, you can kinda guess. But now if you look on piercing light, it has the same indicator. Like on your key, you can see always on the right side, and like it doesn't matter on the sniper how far the enemy away is. And if you look at Enduring Legacy, it has a fall off at 40 meters. So until 40 meters, you won't do any damage if you like go on high range. So if I shoot from here, like 36k, or if I shoot from here, 36k, it doesn't matter. It doesn't give me a difference. But the weak point would matter. Like the weak point difference is like 75k, 72k, I'm sorry. And if I go near here, I have 53. So I have like 50% of my base damage on it again. Like 21k. Just for being 25 meters away. And if you, as I said, remember this on a like bosses example, like Gluttony and stuff, where you actually wanna get the most damage in while he's knocked, this is a huge factor you need to think about. If you go too near him and do less damage, and he enrages too fast, and maybe you have to do the mechanic because you're exactly missing this like 2 or 3 million damage, it can be worse. It can be a lot worse, and try to always stand away a bit like 25 meters. It's of course fine if you stand away like 80 meters or something, but you should always try to learn it. Because if you not learn it right now, you will probably never like really realize how far it actually has to be, and it will help you a lot, especially on solo carries. If you have to solo carry a boss, even public lobbies, you can always do it. You can literally carry yourself to any public lobby, except Gluttony, I would say right now, because if they die too much. But let's take Fortress or Obstructor. All you need to do is literally the first thing you want to do is equip either your sniper or your Enduring Legacy. And what you want to do is get the shoulder yellow. Grapple on that shoulder, and while the shoulder is yellow, try to hang on it until like really the last second and punch it down. And when he goes knocked, you get the full value on, of course, the skill hit build, not on this one right now. So on the skill hit build, you get full value of dangerous ambush, like 50% damage. So when you start casting your ult after getting down from his shoulder, all your shots do like around 40% more damage. And that's the exact reason why you actually really want to grapple on the shoulder. Because if you start sniping with Hailey on spot directly into his face, he will most likely enrage before you can do something. Because the only way to not enrage enemies is if they are stun locked in an animation. So if an enemy or like a Colossus casts an animation, let's say obstruct the laser beam, the rockets of Molten Fortress, the rockets of Frostwalker, stuff like this, where they cast abilities, they cannot enrage in that second. They need to like end the animation first. Either you wait like 3 seconds, or your whole party waits 3 seconds, and you know this will never happen, because people always start shooting the first second they see the boss. They probably won't even come to the situation where they have an ability, or cast an ability, so he will enrage immediately. That's why you're gonna walk to the right or the left to the boss, or like a bit further away, get the shoulder yellow and grapple on it. And this time you won't do damage, but it's fine, because you know after you knock the boss down, you can execute him. Like you're the one who can actually kill him immediately after. All you need to do is like cast your ult, use your second ability before he enrages, and then you're fine. And that's it. That's kinda how you wanna play Hailey. So it's really simple. It's all a bit of a practice. Play a few times and you get it up, and then you can literally melt bosses like crazy. Yeah, I hope this video was kinda knowledgeable. Like, I hope it helped. But if you have any questions, if you didn't understand anything because of my German accent or whatever, feel free to leave a comment and ask me in the comment section. Or if you have a suggestion how I would need to change something or something better, please feel free to message, and have a good day guys, and enjoy.